My name is Kori Sanchez Smith, and
I am Willie Sanchez.
Right, we are the proud daughters of the author of this awesome book. If you looked at me, you would not know. And because we love our mother so much, we are going to make sure that we talk about it as much as possible and let people know how great it is and share some tidbits behind the scenes, I guess we could say, since this is our life on paper.
Yeah.
I think it'd be easy enough just to go through the book. Will, are you good with that?
That works.
All right, so truly, this is our life on paper. In fact, you would be the main character. Yes?
I mean, loosely based on, I don't wear skirts, but yes.
That's you. And when the book opens up, it talks about, the stories of mi abuela and her childhood in Mexico. So you just want to tell a little bit about your background and the connection to Mexico?
Sure. So our grandparents came from Mexico, from Chihuahua, the mountains in Chihuahua. We actually know what tribe, Tarahumara. Meoki, Chihuahua is where they're from, but they came over when they were little, separate, different points, but our grandparents came over and raised our father and aunt, and they wanted them to be as American as possible, so I didn't teach them Spanish. A little tidbit of information, but we do know some stories of the history behind that side of the family.
Right, which is our dad's side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's all I got.
That's so comprehensive. Oh, so to just wrap a bow on it. So our mom had me first. I was the product of our mother, who is Caucasian with European ancestry, and then my birth father, who was a Black American, but wasn't involved in my raising. In fact, our mom got married to Willie's birth father when I was under 1 year old, and he was my father growing up. And what that meant was we had this mixed family of a Mexican father, a white mother, and two biracial children, two biracial sisters and daughters who made up this motley crew of a family, and really is part of why this story is both interesting and also really, really accurate, right? Like it's like our life. So anyway, so yes, there is some direct ancestry to Mexico. Mine by love and marriage, and Willie's by DNA and birth. And definitely we both grew up with stories of hearing about the hard work that it was living in Mexico, and they were running a ranch, and this just politically what was happening in Mexico at the time, which encouraged the family to come to America. And so we have direct experience with immigrants in America and that life. So being our grandparents. All right, and then it talks about your best friend from the Philippines and eating lumpia. I remember this was elementary school, right? Do you remember this friend?
No.
That's terrible.
I mean,
I remember her.
I thought it was your best friend.
No, it's yours. See, this is where mom needs to come and be part of the recording, because she, of course, as a mom, knows all the little people that were in our lives. But no, this was your friend, Willie, in elementary school.
Was this Ayumi? I mean,
that is absolutely terrible.
It is terrible.
Well, let's give a little bit of background on that also. So we grew up in Berkeley, California, which is a very diverse part of the world, and so it would not be at all odd or stand out for there to be a friend from the Philippines or from Africa or from the Netherlands. Like it just, so I kind of get why you don't remember, even though it's slightly embarrassing since we're recording this. But yeah, you don't remember because it was a friend from your childhood, like lots of friends from lots of different parts of the world.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been Naomi, it could have been Sarah. Also, it says a little bit of background about us in terms of like just friends came and went, you know.
Oh wow, that was rough. Okay.
Well, like that was also the nature of kind of like all this is just the different people that we knew
It's
that
true.
came into our lives. Like this, it's not a bad thing. It was just we just had Dad moved around a lot, but we just had a bunch of different people who came in and out of our lives, and lasting. But it also taught us a lot.
Right. Well, I appreciate that particular page. It wasn't my friend, it was yours. But there is a nod to food being really important and shared. And I think that is very true for our childhood, for both of us. I remember very vividly having Shabbat dinner with my best friend, Bethany, and, celebrating another culture, another religion over food. Obviously, we had Mexican food as part of our staple growing up. Dad cooking in the kitchen and preparing food for us is a big childhood memory. And then also the friends and the people around us who brought different cultures and different food groups into our lives, which I think is still true today, don't you? Like still celebrating over food and like exploring food. And do you agree?
Yes, I absolutely agree. You being far away, you don't get to come out and visit as much, but we still, Navy and I still try to travel up there as much as possible, and just going to Rashida's house and having the different food there. We've gone up to Michelle's house, and people, I mean, even when we go camping, like people bring their own food. Like somehow it's become a part of our family in terms of sharing and being together. I don't think that's abnormal, but it is important and reflective of who we are as a family.
Yeah, and for those of you listening, Navian would be her son. And the others mentioned are extended family members that are part of celebrating being back home. And when she said we go up there, it's because both of us live outside of California now. And so going home is a journey for both of us. All right, so now here comes your sister. I happen to enter the book at this point just to like hit the note that we are of different backgrounds, but definitely family. And then it goes on into Mom's background in terms of like the covered wagon.
Yeah.
Do you remember? I don't even remember. I didn't even know that was true. Did you?
No, I didn't. I didn't know it was. I didn't see the picture until the book. Like.
Right. Me either. So I feel like Mom was keeping that little secret from us. Anyway, I mean, I'm learning as a reader, just like you are, just like anyone would, about our tie to that part of American history, which is pretty cool. Yeah. Okay, so now we have an extension of my family. There's a mention of my brother-in-law and his husband as part of our larger family, and celebrating and going camping together, which are great memories. So our family has a tradition of going to Yosemite and just being as uncomfortable as possible for about 4 days, 5 days. I don't know how long. But if you could do it, hike it, eat it cold, we've done it. And had the pleasure of extending this family tradition to lots of people, including the family that I married into, which has been fun, sharing our joy and pain. Right? And you've invited other friends to this annual trip, yeah?
Yeah, not very often. Well, I invite people, but not very often people come. Because it is an acquired taste, roughing it. But yeah, I mean, I think it's initiation to our family is.
Yeah. Definitely. You come, you suffer, you're one of us.
All right.
So I love this gave me warm fuzzies, seeing this page, which talks about our uncle, which is Uncle Richard, who married our aunt on our dad's side. And Uncle Richard lost his leg in a motorcycle accident well before either of us knew him. So what we did know of Uncle Richard was that he had no limits and did everything he wanted to with a prosthetic leg, and took us on all sorts of fabulous trips and hiking and boating and all kinds of stuff. What do you remember about Richard?
I remember the fishing, the camping. I just remember he was just that tough, grizzly type guy who, you know, just seemed he could do anything. If I remember correctly, he would swim in the bay, right?
Yeah, he was definitely a strong swimmer, and yeah, yep.
Yeah, I just remember he was just tough as nails. Like, yeah.
He didn't let anything stop him. So now thinking about it, we had a person who was differently abled, but it wasn't a thing. Like, I don't remember ever really talking about it or whispering or questioning. It was just Uncle Richard. And I think that's just part of the tapestry of our family, just being made up of people with all sorts of skin colors and abilities, and as we extend languages, and yeah, it's cool. I like seeing his addition in here because Uncle Richard left us a while ago, but it's a great memory, definitely, being with him. All right, and so it continues, all the things that you would not know about our family. And now we go into another difference in ability, and that is our cousin who struggled in school, yeah. And really just persevered and continued to grow and become stronger, and is a fantastic human being who is graduated plus, you know, high school, college, and took what was really hard and made it his. And but my best part of this particular page, Willie, what do you think it is about cousin?
The
what?
karate?
Not karate. For me, it's the fact that he gives great hugs.
Oh,
because he does give really great hugs.
Yeah,
but
his heart, yeah.
Yeah, he's a very kind and loving and nurturing and caring person. But I would say not only does he give great hugs, but man, did he look good in a bow tie when he was a little kid. On picture day, let me tell you, there's no one cuter. No one cuter. No one in the world cuter. And we have several cousins, but this particular cousin in a bow tie did it, right?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So I love this like continuation of all the ways that we interacted in the world with people who could be perceived as different, but just were themselves, and we're all in the same, like, you know, universe together. So there's mention of the people in our lives that belong to the Jewish faith, the Muslim faith, and people who don't have a set faith, right? Those that are agnostic or atheist, and that all the different ways that we just kind of like collide into this great life and are part of the same community. What were your thoughts about that addition?
Kind of what this made me realize is, you know, like this mentality wasn't like, we grew up with it. It was ingrained in us. I mean, it's, you know, even when it's ingrained in you, you still have to work hard not to judge people and all of that stuff. Like, it's not like you just automatically do that. But when I got into education and the school that I'm at, I realized how difficult it is to teach this mentality to others.
What mentality you're talking about?
Just this. So I was at a training last year, and I think this is, the facilitator did a really good job. She's like, most people know that other people have a story. But what a lot of people don't do or don't, spend time to do the work about is the story behind the story. So for example, at my school, my teachers, my staff, they know that there's a reason that students are at our school, because they have, for whatever reason, have not been successful at a traditional school. So they know that story. But what they don't spend the time, what they don't do the work trying to find, is the story behind the story. So why was that student not successful at a traditional school? And that matters, because you're still, if you're like, okay, there's a story, I get it, but you're not doing the work to really see the person and understand the person, then you're really not taking the time to get to know that individual. So there's a distinction that I've learned and appreciate Mom for in really kind of that ingrained understanding that we don't know everything and we won't know everything. And it's just that's difficult to teach.
So the willingness to ask, to be curious.
Yeah. And not judge, understand that you don't know everything about this person and you can make assumptions, but taking that time and the effort to not treat someone based on your assumptions.
Right. So the premise of the book is really getting at, you would not know all these people that are in my life if you just looked at the outside of me and made assumptions about who I am and who's in my family and what I believe and things like that. Right. And so it's interesting because I know we've been asked what it felt like to be in this family growing up. And I get the question, but I also don't get it, because you only know what you know, right? We were in a pretty multiracial, multi-ethnic, multi-religious family. And that was just normal. I will say that I was very aware of having a different looking family than other people. And the only reason I was aware of that is because I remember us being stared at, right? Mm-hmm. Like when we're walking and traveling and it being a thing, that we looked different, mm-hmm. that maybe even we didn't belong to each other. So my understanding of our difference was solely because of how we were treated by other people that were outside of our family. So in that sense, it would be really beneficial for people when they're little to have exposure to a book like this, just to open up that idea of there's not one look, right? There's not one type of family. There's not one standard. And you're talking about being curious about, what's behind the person. And I'm like, just recognize that there is no one set experience, and that was us growing up, and kudos to Mom for feeling that was important enough to capture, really.
I think the other message is having pride in yourself. Mm-hmm. And your experiences, your individual, unique experiences.
Hey, nephew!
You want to say hi?
Hi.
So here's my child. I've continued the pattern of, walking around with someone who doesn't look like you.
Oh, yes, you have. But yes, you definitely have.
No, I'm in this right now. But, okay. But no, you can't. But yeah, the not subliminal subtext, however you want to put it, but the underlying message for me is just that pride. And, it's okay to be different. It's okay to have these other stories that people aren't aware of, and you don't have to hide them. You don't have to hide the differences.
Yeah. I love that in the back of the book, it's an interactive workbook where readers, especially those who are younger, can do exactly what you just said, right? To recognize all the ways that their families are awesome, their lives are wonderful, take pride in it, to celebrate it, to record it, to put it down. I actually think this is the best part of the book. I mean, I love reading about the people that we know and love, obviously, because they're a family, but I feel like this ending part, which makes it personalized, is the strength of this particular resource. It makes it different from others that you may look at. And then there's all our childhood photos, which I'm not sure if that's a plus or a minus, but it definitely is amusing.
It's definitely amusing. It's a great
Seeing
word.
that in the back, right? Yeah, it's good. It's good. I'm proud of Mom.
Yeah, me too.
She's sneaky for not being on this recording. That's real sneaky, being the author.
I know, right? I don't know if I ever told her this. Like, I know I did something with my students, but I actually do this with my staff. So as part of their teacher boards, I have, if you looked at me, you would not know. And then just fun facts that they want to share about themselves with anyone who walks in their classroom.
You should totally tell her that. Well, I guess she'll watch this recording. We'll say there you go.
I don't know if I told her. I might have, but I might not have.
That's pretty cool.
But yeah.
And I when this book first came out, I actually gifted it to the teachers in my son's life. So his homeroom teacher, the principal of the school, some other people at the school that he interacted with, like special area teachers. And I remember the language teacher came up to me afterwards and said, "Oh, that's such a great book. I was able to use it in she teaches French, in the French class, and she translated some of the pages into French, but really just a class that already had a multicultural lens, and being able to utilize some of the activities and some of the pages with the students." So that was pretty cool. I think we think of it in terms of like maybe a family buying it and doing this work with their kids because it's an exploration of family, but it's definitely not limited to that. Like you using the same concept with teachers and leaders in your school, and then also teachers themselves being able to turn around and modify for the classroom. So very, very can be utilized in different ways. So very helpful, very useful resource.
Yes.
All right. Well, we will. That's probably it. Unless there's something else you wanted to add.
Nope. I'm good.
I'm sure Mom will drag us in to do part 2.
Yeah.
At some point. But anyway, so this is the book. If You Looked at Me, You Would Not Know, by Wanda Remmers, our mother. Love you, Mom. Congratulations. It's awesome. Bye.